Hey there, kids. What's going on? Welcome to the Child of Mecha live stream. I am your host, Tim, the one and only Child of Mecha, and we've got a plan of action today. Last night's stream went really good. I was very enthused about that. Had a lot of people kind of come out of the woodworks and, come in and say hi, talk, hang out, all that good stuff. I was really cool. Really enjoyed that. If you didn't see last night, Colin, our good friend, hi Craig, he reopened his store, so you can get these scribing jigs and everything now again, and go check him out. I shared his post on Instagram and everything like that, so it's in my story, it's on my reshares, all that good stuff. And if you're still looking for his Instagram, it's at Hi Craig. So go check him out. It's good stuff, really good stuff. So yeah. So yesterday I pivoted on the shield mount, right? And so basically we are going with a bracket to mount the shield on the side of the forearm rather than underneath where the original connection point is. So today we're going to be doing something kind of special, kind of interesting, right? So let's go camera 2. Let's get into it. All right, so here's the shield bracket, the beginnings of it anyway. Got the epoxy putty in there. That's nice and cured. Let me check this leftover piece. Yeah, that's good to go. That is nice and rigid now. So got the sides cut down to make room for these little offshoots on the arm and everything. And so what we're going to do is we are going to kind of shape this new part into, something that looks natural, for the Gundam universe, geometric look, the whole 9 yards, and still tie in and look nice on the arm and everything. Now, to do that, we need to, and here's kind of, what I've come up with. It's a very simplistic design, just 3 lines, very, rudimentary stuff. But the thing that we have to do is make sure that it is mirrored on both sides. And that's where the hard part comes in, right? We could always go asymmetrical and, go with, that look and everything, maybe have it shorter on the inside rather than the outside where, the actual connection is going to be taking place. But I kind of like the idea. I always like symmetry. Shit. And now that I'm thinking about it, nah, I may be changing my mind in real time here, you guys. All right, let's go with plan A first, see how that looks, and then we can always pivot to plan B. All right, so with that being said, we're going symmetrical first. We're going to, we need to mirror this line on both sides. And that's the tricky part because, the part is not even, at the bottom. It's just very problematic, right? So in this case, what we need is a jig, a scribing jig. So we're going to show you how to make a custom scribing jig on today's show. Obviously Colin makes the 3D printed ones, and these are all very, very standard, in terms of, straight lines, 45s, 60s, 30s, things like that, right? But we need something truly one-off here to match that line. So we're going to be doing that today. Now, first things first, we need to basically get a point of reference for this, right? So we need to first cut this line. So we're going to do this basically just, you know, kind of freehand. We're going to go with this, and we're going to cut this out, get our reference, and then we can transfer it to a piece of plastic and then go about, you know, creating the jig to mirror the other side, right? So that's what we're going to be doing. All right. So first things first, let's get this line cut. To do that, we're going to pull out, here we go. Here we go. Now this is my scribing tape of choice. This is the old school Dymo embossing tape. A lot of people like the, where'd that go? Yeah, a lot of people like this. This is kind of the clear. Let me show you here. This is that clear tape that has the marks on it, right? Some people like that, and it's not bad. It has its uses. I'm old school. I do like my good old Dymo tape here. It's more rigid than the clear stuff, in my opinion. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some pieces of tape on here, boom, 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 and we're going to get this line cut first and foremost. So let's see how much we need here. Right about there. All right. Cool thing is it comes with nippers, so that's good there too. And now the other parts, we're just going to cut a little piece there, and I'll show you what I'm doing with that here in a second. But first and foremost, let's get the backing film off of here. Okay. Right. All right. First piece is in place. Now the second piece here, like I said, I'm going to cut this down one more, and we'll just use the nippers for that because it's a little longer than the hobby knife here. So now we've got two smaller pieces to put into, you know, for these angles and everything, right? So backing paper is off. Okay. The straight lines are done. Now the angle line. Oh, shit. And I just lost it. Oh, man. Where'd it go? Yep, just flew off into the ether. I'll find it in like a day or two. Figures. All right, no big deal. Bingo, here we go. I have some little leftover pieces that I always like to keep here. Just different shapes and stuff like that. You will do. All right, take two. A little bit of a better grip on that piece of tape. All right. And then now we lay down our angle. Just like that. All right. So now we have our line set. And now we just have to scribe this line in here and then make the cut. So pretty easy stuff overall. It's very, very, you know, kind of simplistic and straightforward. Now, obviously, getting to this point, not so much, but here we go. All right. All right, so now we can take all this off. And we've got our line set pretty well in there. Now we can just kind of go at it, deepen these lines more. All right, cool. So we've got our line set in. Now, the first cut here is not going to be that hard. I can actually use the nippers here and let them just ride in that groove. And boom, we've got a nice clean cut. That's pretty simple. Now, the angle cut here going to be a little trickier than that, but still, again, not crazy. For this, I think I'm just going to scribe right through the plastic here. Yeah, that's getting pretty close. Looking good, looking good. And there we are. All right, we are all the way through that part. All right, so next thing, I'm going to deepen this longer line, and then we're going to take the saw to that, just because I want to guarantee a nice straight cut for this. I'm going to make this groove pretty deep. There we are. Happy with that. All right, cool. So now let's get our 1, 2, 3 block in here, raise this part up a little bit, and we're gonna get our trusty little saw here. And let's go to work. So far, so good. All right, we're through the back end here. Steeper angle. Yeah, that's better. That's a better look. All right, cool. Good deal. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to make our jig here. So for that, we're going to reverse our 1, 2, 3 block, and we're going to put the sandpaper on the outside. So now that we have two smooth surfaces here, and this is at a perfect 90-degree angle. So we need to, first and foremost, make sure that our edges for the plastic that we're using on this jig are nice and flat. We also need to make sure that the surfaces are flat. So this one has kind of a little bit of raised edge from where I cut it. We just want to make sure that this lays flat against the 1, 2, 3 blocks too. So that's super important actually. All right, so so that feels pretty good, nice and flat. Let's do the same thing to this one. This one has a bit of a raised edge here. Okay. All right, so there's that. All right, so what we've got here are two pieces that are 20 millimeters in length this way. Not exactly sure how wide it is. About 15 millimeters, so pretty easy stuff. Now, excuse me. One thing that we need to do, find center point of this. That's actually 14, so we're gonna looking for 7 mil right there. And we're just gonna mark the middle of it here, because what we're doing, we're making a T style scribing jig. So we need, since we need to mirror the scribing jig on both sides, we need to kind of make a T shape there, right? So, all right, with that being said, let's, actually I didn't need it even in this configuration. So what we'll do is get the Bob Smith out here. Where's our flat edge? All right, so there's the edge that's going to be glued, nice and flat, and we're just going to put a bead of super glue on here. Right, like that. I'm going to line up our piece. Just kind of hold it there for a few seconds until it grips. That should be good. Let's kick it just to be on the safe side. And then we should be able to remove this here. There she goes. All right, so now we have a T-shaped guide here. And just want to make sure that this thing is square as can be. Okay. Looks pretty good. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, all right, good. We're in business. All right, so there's that. Now, we're going to need one more piece of plastic to kind of hold this whole thing together, right? So we're going to need a piece that kind of goes right here. That will be our reference, right? So son of a bitch. For this, we're just going to score and snap. Oh, shit. All right, well, that's not going to work because there was a scribe line on the other side that was weaker than the other part. Not a big deal. We can still use this, it's just not as tall. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. All right, so let's get our... We need to make sure that our jig, first and foremost, is flat on one side. Very good. All right, sweet. So, make sure we're still nice and square before we glue this thing into place. Because this part is going to give the jig all of its structural rigidity. And that's important. That's super, super important. We're just going to let this overhang on the 1, 2, 3 blocks slightly. All right, just hold that there until it grips. All right, we'll get caught up in the chat here in a second. Okay. And there we are. All right, let's do a little kicker just to be on the safe side. Good deal. All right, let's let that fully crystallize, and then we'll get caught up with the chat here. All right, let's see. Let's see. Everybody's with us here. Apex Nerd, howdy. Lorenz, Michael Dawson, Lelouch, Kenneth, Julius, Giovanni. What's going on? Lakers lost last night. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Sorry. Let's see. Brandon's with us. Handren, Greg Avani. What's going on, Greg? Afternoon, watching on my lunch break. Nice. Thank you for watching, man. Thank you for taking the time. Appreciate that. Really do. Really do. Let's see. What else we got here? Life Death is with us. Handren. What's up, Tim? We have a question. Once your BMCs go bad, which brand you planning to get? Sabs? No, because my chisels don't go bad. Because I sharpen my chisels with that guy. And some diamond plates that I have that I'm not exactly sure where they are. But yeah, no, I resharpen my scribing or my chisels and everything. So yeah, this is the harp, and basically what you do is you thread your chisel through there, lock it down, make sure that it's nice and flat, and then with a diamond plate you can kind of just go back and forth and sharpen your chisels to almost better than brand new sharpness. Did that on several chipped chisels that I had. I think this was actually one of the ones that I brought back. Yeah. This is, we'll have to go mega zoom on this. Mega zoom! But there, and it's hard to see, but this one this is one that I used, actually if I get it over in the gray, yeah, it's a little bit better. You can kind of see right there you can see the edge, how it's, there we go, nice and square. Now that's the flat part, obviously. The part that we're sharpening is the edge part, right? That part there. And you can see how that's nice and square. So I chipped this that particular chisel back in the day when scribing the PVC pipes for the Hummingbird. And you never want to scribe a PVC pipe with your good chisels, or with any chisels that you care about in general, because it will chip them. It is hard, it is nasty, nasty stuff to try and scribe. It is a gigantic pain in the ass, and you will chip your nice expensive chisels like I did. So Sujiborido came out, or partnered with this company, Harp, right there, and created this little guy, and it's an absolute godsend. Here are my diamond plates right here. And then you want to make sure that you have, actual diamond plates, right? These I just got off of Amazon. Pretty inexpensive, honestly, all things considered. And I've got 3 grits here. I've got a 400, a 1500, and a 3000. And you just kind of go up, in grit, depending on what level of sharpening that your chisel needs, right? And yeah, obviously from China and everything, it's not exactly surprising, but yeah, here's the 400, and you can kind of see how I've already gone to town on this. Now, the chisels are made of tungsten carbide. This is impregnated with diamond. This is just a steel sheet impregnated with diamond bits, and it sharpens it amazingly well. A little water down there, or WD-40, something to help the process out and everything, and yeah, your chisels will be probably better than brand new, if I'm being honest, because the Sujiborido sharpening process is immaculate, but man, when you kind of do it yourself, you can get those things just scary razor sharp. So yeah, it's actually pretty surprising. You see the paper tests, of these guys sharpening knives and things like that, or just kind of shaving their forearm hair or whatever slightly, and yeah, I mean, you can absolutely go that sharp with your chisels, sharpening it, yourself and everything. And I don't have to do it often, every few years maybe. because that tungsten carbide against plastic, it's not really doing too much to it. So it doesn't need, you know, constant sharpening or anything like that, thankfully. Yeah, that's what I do. I sharpen my own. So works really, really well. Really well. Yeah. Zero Kai's with us. You kit bashing or kit bashing still or scribing today? We're actually a bit of both. We're more, I guess, customizing. Yeah. Let's see. Brandon says, I don't really think they will wear out in this lifetime. I mean, they do. They get moderately, you know, duller, less sharp, whatever. But yeah. Brandon, probably not, but sometimes shit happens. Blades get... Yeah. Handren says, I only have the 0.9 BMC, which is the only one I could get my hands on back when it was available here. Yeah. If I had to guess, he would probably replace it with the Kaizo. Yeah, no, I have the set of Kaizos as well. Yeah. Kaizo's great. Handren, never heard of it. I've been using display chisels. Kaizo, Robot Kai had sent me the Kaizos, right? And they're really good chisels. Really, really good. Not necessarily as good as BMC, but they are really good. I'd use them in a heartbeat, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, Kaizos are like a BMC Sab clone. Robot Kai sells them, but they're out of stock. They sent him a full set. Yeah, exactly. Waiting for a trailer to get serviced. I'm gonna go inside, get a cup of coffee. Okay. Brandon says, Tim, you okay if I link a possible Chopper 2 replacement option? Yeah, absolutely. Anything you feel is right, yeah. Let's see. I remember when BMC released that. Oh, the harp, yeah. Love it. Wonder if third party makes that blade sharpener. Yeah, you can actually get something very similar to the harp on Temu, of all places. I've seen something like that, almost identical on there, for $5-10. Pretty inexpensive for what it is, and it looks like a clone of the harp. So yeah, if you're into Temu, give it a shot. Can't hurt, you know. It can't hurt. Yeah, everything's on Temu now. You know, everything is on Temu. So yeah, I don't hate it. I buy some Temu. I like me some Temu sometimes. All right, that's good and solid. Very, very nice. All right, next thing to do, we got to clean it up. We got to clean out the glue squeeze out and all that crap from here. So we're just gonna go in with a nice big old chisel and just kind of plow through the glue squeeze out on both sides here. Last thing you want is glue squeeze out affecting your accuracy on either side, you know what I mean? So it's always important to make sure you get any of the glue squeeze out cleaned up, taken care of, removed, all of that, right? So we're just taking our time, doing our due diligence here. Don't forget the inside, because that's important too. that side is nice and clean. Now let's get the opposing side here. This actually looks a lot better than the other side. Straight out of the gate. Yeah, nice. Oh, I spoke too soon. There's a big old glob of glue right there. Big old glob of goo. Glue, goo, whatever. Could be different in different situations, obviously, but hey, we're talking about glue. All right. I always remember that scene out of Ghostbusters 2 at the end. The little art guy, the museum guy, he's like, "Why am I dripping with goo?" God, that shit was funny. Do love me some good old Ghostbusters movies, man. Classic 80s. That's the type of shit I grew up with. You know, I sound like an old fucking man. God damn it. That's the type of shit I grew up with. Okay, boomer. I am not a boomer, by the way. Fuck off if you call me that. Alright, I think we got that nice and clean. Alright, so we got the hard part done. We've got the rough overall shape of our jig here. Now comes kind of the fun part, right? So basically, we have a nice square point of reference here that we can lock this piece into and scribe, and then obviously we're going to be scribing from the other side here. But since we have our reference side, we're going to put that into place, and then we're going to make our make our cuts. So we need to trace this first, and this is kind of an awkward angle, but we'll make it work somehow. And there we go. All right, so there's our tracing. Now we just need to cut this bit out there. So before we get too far in the weeds, we're just going to remove as much as possible. And I feel like this is a job for the Zerons over the 1, 2, 3s. Basically nibble up to that line, and then we'll get the 1, 2, 3s out here and really do the precision work. There we go. All right, so we kind of went right up close to that line, right? Real close to that line. And then we're gonna come in here with the 1, 2, 3s and do a little bit of more precision cutting here. All right, there we go. Much, much better. All right, so now what we got to do is basically smooth this surface out here, right? So to do that, we're going to get our flat file and just really start to hone this down to that line. Making sure that it's flat on this edge here too, because that's going to be super important. Okay, now the angle. A little bit more. Very nice. Very nice. All right. So now we just need to smooth this out really, really well. So we're just going to scrape this down with the hobby knife. And also make sure with the sanding block. Yeah, very, very good. Very, very good. All right. So there's our shape, mirrored on both sides, right? Good deal. And then if we get this locked in, that should be pretty close. All right, looks like we're gonna have to make some adjustments because it's a little proud of the actual piece. Not a problem. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. All right, good deal. That's good. It's actually really good to check that, right? Especially this angle, because that's like about a millimeter off. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to take the edge off of the backing piece here. So we need to take off more area here. Okay, very good. All right, so now I'll kind of get my knife in here and really go to work. See what that looks like. Nice. Very nice. We are very close. Perfect. That's damn near perfect. I think we just need to just a little smoothing right up here, shit, close to the corner. Okay. Just clean off the chaff and everything there. All right, let's see. That's money. That's money. Perfect. All right, so there's our jig. Now, obviously, I know a lot of you are probably saying, it's too much work. Is it a lot of work? Yes, yes it is. But the thing is that you're gonna have completely mirrored angles on both sides, and that will take, that would take a lot longer to do in traditional means. And then you risk accuracy, which is paramount, you know? So what we'll do is I'll come back in here, get this piece locked in here, make the scribe line, make the cut, and then we've got two mirrored sides that are even Stevens on both. So yeah, it is a lot of work, granted, but it's good work, you know? It's good modeling work. And if you want to be accurate and precise with things, these are the steps you have to go through. And for me, accuracy is everything. Reason being is because when I go to take pictures of this thing, right? And there will be a lot of pictures because I'll, chances are, never see this thing again. Well, hopefully. But, you know, the fact of the matter is that, you know, when I shoot pictures of this, I use what are called macro tubes. It's essentially a macro lens, and I get in really, really tight. If you've ever seen any of my photography for like Airdrop or the Hummingbird, Blue Destiny, whatever, Aussie, especially Aussie, God, I get in real, real tight on, you know, the head, chest area, things like that. And, you know, I want my models to stand up to rigorous scrutiny, even at those macro levels, you know? For me, that's super, super important. You know, I see a lot of guys, you know, that post models out there that are good from far, but when you get up to it and actually look very, very closely, they're far from good. So, you know, you can be, you know, you can have your shelf queens and everything like that, and look really, really nice, you know, from far away. Me, I want you to get up close to my models. I want you to really, really look at all the details and scrutinize every little bit of it, and then come away with like, yeah, I don't see anything. That's what I want. That's the ultimate compliment for me. I don't see any flaws. Yeah, that for me is that's where the money is. That's where the money is. So, yeah. But all right, you guys, let's get caught up with the chat here. Lorenz has.
We have a question.
Oh shit, that's the wrong chat. God damn. Where is it? Sorry. I have two different chat windows for this. Here it is. God damn it. Question for me. Do you have any tips in maintaining nippers? Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to get a good pair of nippers. And, you know, the jury's out, obviously, on that, whether your preference is a single blade or a double blade. I personally like a double blade. I like the 1-2-3s. The Tamiya 1-2-3s, in my opinion, The Tamiya 123s, in my opinion, are legendary. These have served me well for years and years and years, and have never needed to sharpen these, because these are fantastic. Now, mind you, they're, you know, if you prefer like a single blade nipper, you know, have at it. I say, whatever your particular preference is, right? And I have single blade nippers. I have a pair of God hands that I inherited, and then I have, you know, the latest version of, you know, USA Gundam Store nippers as well. So basically, to maintain these, it really depends on the area, you know, and the environment that you're in. Sometimes, you know, you'll have to maybe put a, you know, little WD-40 or something like that in there and kind of work it into the hinge and everything. But where I live, I've never had a problem with it, and it's I work obviously inside, so it's climate controlled and everything. But you know, if you're really, you know, if you did a number on your nippers or something like that, you can always very carefully file, sand, whatever, this edge, this flat edge, and then that will start to bring the sharpness back to it. You know, I don't recommend it often unless you're forced into it, because these nippers against plastic are, they're not going to go dull anytime soon. Now, obviously, you know, we've all seen the God hand fatalities and things like that, the chips, the breaks, all of it, right? Excuse me. And so it happens from time to time, but yeah, if you're forced into it, just a flat chisel or a flat file. Let's see, where's the bastard file? And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I mean, that's actually what the damn thing is called. It is called a bastard file. Oh, here it is. So, something like this. This is called a bastard file. This is just your straight normal file, right? And I use this all the time for clearing out a lot of, you know, material and things. So that would, you know, get your edge back and everything like that. But then, from there, I would use kind of a sharpening stone, diamond plate, something like that, to really kind of hone and polish that edge. Personally, you know, if you really want to have those things razor sharp, take it to a sharpener, like a dedicated chef knife store. It may end up being that, you know, it's cheaper to buy a brand new pair than have them sharpened or anything like that, but obviously those are always options at that point. So, but yeah. Julius says, Tim, have you heard if BMC will begin manufacturing the original BMC style chisels? They have. They've actually been making those, but the guy that owns BMC only sells them through the BMC website. So I don't think he stocks any of the other stores, because if I remember correctly, they're, you know, obviously harder to manufacture than the other ones. So yeah. Oh yeah, Julius, they still do in Japan, just not overseas. Yeah, and he only sells it through his store. Ryan Bartoletti, when he was stationed over in Japan, he is no longer stationed in Japan. He was the one that got me the harp, and some other tools and things like that. You could hit him up on like Instagram or Facebook or something like that, and see if he's got any points of contact over there. I unfortunately do not. Yeah, I would maybe touch base with him. See if you can go through the, Tsuji Borido website. They post a lot on Twitter. Japanese Twitter is very, very good. That's kind of their, from what I understand, their social media preference over there is Twitter. Because I follow a lot of Japanese modelers on there, and that's basically 95% of my feed. I think the other 5% is, news about fucking Ravens football and everything, Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, those guys. Yeah, it's tough because they kind of aren't making them as much as they used to. And I get it. COVID did a number on them. So it is what it is. So, yeah. Lelouch, America never gets the cool stuff like always. Yeah, it's one of those things. Let's see. Brandon says, anyone use Ray Studio tools? Love the looks of them. Not sure if I can justify the prices right now. Yeah, Ray Studios, if you're not familiar with him, he was the winner of the Urazaku back in the day with his super customized GM Sniper. I forget what year he won. I think it was like 2018 or 2019, something like that, around there. And then he's been able to transition that to kind of his own tool line and things like that. He's the industrial design on his tools are very, very good. I really respect it. But the prices are a bit up there. So obviously that, for that, it would probably indicate a low manufacturing batch. So price per piece probably costs him a good amount, which then of course he has to pass on to the consumer. So it is what it is. Yeah. Charles Dodge, back from my workout. What did I miss? Oh man, we made a scribing jig. Full scratch, custom scribing jig. And we'll use that here in a second here too. All right, Hendren says, gotta go, guys. Trailer is done. Have fun watching this madman. See you tonight. Not on here, but I respect it. Thank you, Hendren. Brandon, I bought a set. Have not used them yet. Let's see. Brandon says, just bought another pair of 123s to replace my chipped ones. Gotcha. 123s are goated, man. Real tight pause, LOL. Pause for effect. Who left the hobby and gave you so much shit? Oh, I don't want to out them like that. They were like, man, don't tell anybody, but yeah. Actually, there were two guys that got out of the hobby, and I kind of inherited, their shit. One amazing dude, love him to death. And he was in the hobby for quite a while, and then he got out to pursue other interests and things. And we met up down in Virginia, and he gave me like pretty much his entire backlog, which were 2 extra large Home Depot moving boxes full of shit, full of models, completely unbuilt. He gave me 5 master grade Jestas, and then a P Bandai base jabber. Got the Dynamis, got the Barbatos master grade, the 2 the Ale Strike and the Strike Rouge, Double O Riser I got from him. The Easy 8, the Ground Gundam, Bunch of 144s. Yeah, he was awesome. Loved that guy to death. And he was just like, I would just want to see him go to a good home. And I'm like, done. And then the gentleman who I inherited, kind of the God hands and tools and stuff like that from, again, just recently kind of got out of the hobby, and bought a few models off of him, gave him, a decent, little amount of money for some models, and then he just brought the tools and stuff like that, and he's just same thing. He's just like, I just want to see him used in a good way, and I'm like, done. So yeah, very, very, very lucky and thankful for those two guys, because just, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just the kindness, and the thought of it all. So yeah, it was really cool, really fucking cool. So let's see. Michael Dawson off to work later. Mike, take care, buddy. Life Death off to get my oldest from school. I'll be back. Word. Lorenz says, thanks, Tim. I chipped one of my nippers while cutting a peg that I forgot I reinforced with with a metal rod. Damn. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. That'll fucking do it. Holy shit. Yeah, I totally get it now. Now, mind you, Lorenz, depending on the size of the chip, that may be unsalvageable. But, there are options, and chances are, when you go to look at, things to try and sharpen those and all that, keep in mind the price, because the other, accoutrements may be more expensive than just going out and getting a new pair at that point too, so be cognizant of the prices for all that stuff. Be cognizant of the prices. Yeah. Zero Kai says it was during the mid-COVID when Ray won that comp. Was it? I thought it was earlier than that. I thought it was like right before COVID, like 2018, 2019. I'm not sure. Gunpla Noob. What up, dude? Any plans for that, for the modeling Robber GM3? Now, the dude gave me the GM, but he wanted it back. So it's still, so I have zero plans, and it's still sitting in its, multiple cases and everything. So yeah, I'm not, there are, zero plans for that at this point, because, the gentleman that, kind of I inherited things from, he wanted it back. So yeah. Lelouch, who's going to inherit your collection, Tim? Not saying that you'll retire anytime soon or ever. Or I might just die. I don't know. I mean, I hope not, right? Yeah, I have no idea about that either. Yeah, I'll leave that to Amber to decide when I do kick the bucket. And she'll just be like, here, one for each of you. Come and get it, boys. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't thought about that. Loren says, I'll probably just go to my local knife shop and ask what they can do about it. If not, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good call. They're going to know a lot better, and they're going to know if that edge is salvageable or not. And, fingers crossed, hopefully it is. But yeah, they'll definitely have an answer for you. Yeah. Zero Kai, just a ground type build. The airdrop is getting lonely. Oh, I know, right? I've got some ideas for the Jestas. That'll be later on. Yeah. Briggsy says, me! LOL. Lelouch says, dibs on the airdrop. Tell Amber. Oh, man. Y'all are waiting for me to die. That's really grim, you guys. Come on now. Scuffle says all your bases belong to me, although you're immortal in my mind. Aw, Scuffles. Love you, buddy. All of you are plotting my demise now. I can tell it just through the fucking screen. You're all like, oh man, how are we gonna kill Tim? You motherfuckers. You assholes. Anyway, all right, let's get to it, yeah? We're on camera 2? We are on camera 2. All right, so let's show you. We got this locked in. That is a beautiful, beautiful edge right there. Yeah. So, basically what would happen is we would scribe this line or whatever, but since this is a cut pattern, you know, we cut it down. And then now the beauty of the T is that we can transfer the other side here, get it locked into place like that. And then now we have our reference line for the other side that we can just scribe into, cut then after that as well. So let's get our line put in here. Let's make sure this is good and locked in. Okay. And there, as I drop the piece, and there is our new cut line, right? So let's just deepen this up here with our 0.2, and then we will get to cutting. Okay. All right. So that should be good enough for now. All right. So this edge here, easy peasy. Just pop our nippers in here right up on the line. Let it ride that groove. Cut. And then for this part, I'm going to go in with our saw. Get that started here. And this blade kerf is just a hair thicker than the 0.2. So you kind of have to get it started to widen the groove a little bit. But once you get it going, it's easy peasy in there. Let's get the 1, 2, 3 block back in here, make this job a little bit easier. Raise this piece up here. There we go. Boom. Okay, we're through the back. You can kind of see that it's flexing there. Now we just need to cut through the rest.
Okay. And if you remember, there's that peg right behind the line that we're trying to cut here. All right, and then now it should hopefully pop. Very nice. All right, let's get this cleaned up here. Just cutting these little pegs down right on the interior there. All right, so let's check our work here. Not too bad, not too bad. Even both sides up here. Alright. That looks pretty good. Let's check it with the piece. Okay. Good there. Good there. Alright, rock and roll. Alright, so now we have this piece getting to be cleaned up here. Now we have to address this big old glob of fucking epoxy putty. And I purposely made that, you know, oversized so we could bring it down and kind of remove the excess and everything. So let's get after this with our, actually, we're going to, yep, here we go. We're actually going to pull out that bastard file that we showed earlier. Now, obviously, we've got, you know, a bunch of crud in the teeth of this thing. And that looks pretty good. What about this side here? Yeah, it's not bad. All right. And we got some stubborn bits there. And that's where the wire brush comes into play. There we are. Yeah. And that brings the teeth back nice and sharp. Because the more crap you have in a file, the less sharp it is. So we've got a nice kind of big flat surface here to work on. Now we're just gonna try and follow the angle here of the piece. And all right, so it's not making as much progress as I really would like. Let's step it up a notch. Let's get the Dremel. All right, here we go. Okay. We're gonna stop there because it's getting close. All right. And so now we're gonna go across this way and just flatten this guy out here as much as we possibly can. Nice, and it's starting to show the plastic there. So we're a little low on that side, a little high on this side, so we'll switch it up. So far, so good. Really nice. Really nice. We're getting there. We are getting there. Pull out the sanding block now. Nice. Yeah, that's getting real nice and flat there. All right, cool. So here's one thing that I want to show you guys real quick, right? So with this piece, there we go. All right, so you can see right here where the plastic is showing through, right? So that's really good. That's what we essentially want to see because we know these surfaces are now perfectly aligned, right? But the problem is right up here in this corner, we see the plastic showing through down here, but not up here. So essentially what we need to do is we need to vary the pressure of where we're kind of holding, especially like the sanding block. So we need to apply a little bit more pressure on this side without, you know, fundamentally changing, you know, angles and things like that. But we need to bring this side down more in alignment with the other three kind of corners of this area here, right? So we need to put a little bit more pressure on that side. So let's see if we can't try and manage that here. There we go. Nice, there we go. We altered that pressure just a little bit, so now we can just try to go back and keep it even keel and expose all of the plastic around there. Very, very nice. That's exactly what we need right there. All right, cool. So now it's just a matter of cleaning up the rest of the surface, and really we can just kind of scrape these bits away because these are thin pieces or little pieces, so they'll come off very, very easily there. As you can see, oh, I'm not, fuck. There we go, camera 2. That you can't easily see here because I got it on fucking super zoom and you can't see. Anyway. Very, very good. Very, very nice. So just kind of scrape that down a little bit. All right, let's take a look. That's pretty square and even across there. Lines up with the bevel corners. That's really nice. That's really quite nice right there. All right, so the last piece of basic shaping is this edge right here. It's not completely flat there. So first things that we're going to do is we're going to use the knife to try and bring this in square as much as possible here. That looks pretty close. I feel there's a ridge right about there. All right, so that is pretty close. That looks pretty close. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our little diamond file, our finer jeweler's file actually, and just kind of go across that surface here. Pay attention to the spacing. That looks pretty good. Let's do a little bit of measuring. And wow, the ruler fits perfectly in that space. So we have a great point of reference, and we are really good and even right there. Very nice. Now, I just noticed this bottom edge, this lip there, we need to straighten out because that is not. All right, it's getting there. I need to bring this side down a little bit. Close, very close. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna keep it there. I'm not gonna fiddle with it anymore. All right, so let's pop this back on the piece after we clean out the schmutz there. And there we go. That's nice and clean. That's nice and clean. What I might do, now that I think about it, now that I look at it, what I might do is run a plastic strip between these two and kind of cap that off, because, well, now that I see the bicep go in that area, will it collide? That's the big, okay, so yeah, so if I put it at the same level as the epoxy putty and have it a bit recessed from this edge here, have it more, you know, aligned with that, it shouldn't hit that. It should be in good shape, and I think that'll complete the look and make it really, really nice. But yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay. And now that I look at it, I have some other ideas. Huh. Yeah, I got some other ideas now. Okay, so I think this is what we're gonna do. These little kind of triangle bits here, I'm gonna cut those flush. I know, we just went through the whole scribing jig bullshit, and now I'm just gonna cut them off and make this a nice flush fucking piece. You know what? So be it. You got to see how a scribing jig is made. Whatever. But yeah, just basically trim it off, that little triangle piece here. And then what I'll do, so this will be the outside. The connection point will be right about there-ish, comparatively. Yeah, so right about there. We'll need that. So what I'll do for the inside here is do some plates, you know, things like that, right? Something along that, you know, kind of trapezoidal shape, and then have it overhang slightly, and then backfill that piece so, you know, it almost looks like it's grabbing onto the forearm, you know what I mean? So I think that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, something like that. Have it overhang so it juts out into this space here slightly. Yeah, I like that idea. All right, yeah, and seeing that, and that's the thing. Sometimes you waste time going down a path that you don't end up caring for, you know? And that's a perfect example of what we're doing here. So, yeah, with that being said, let's cut this bitch off. There we go, and she's done. Well, c'est la vie. Boom. There we go. All right. Get it flattened out again. All right. So there. Now we have a very simplistic piece. Very simplistic. But the good thing is that we know that it contours to the forearm very, very nicely. So there's essentially our connection point for the shield, right? So what I think I might do, now that we have a truly symmetrical piece here, is now I'll pivot and go asymmetrical, right? Because it's going to need to be, because we need a mounting point for the shield right there, right? So what I can always do, especially with this side, is bring that plating kind of a little bit heavier on this side and really kind of accentuate that pivot point, that connection point for the shield, right? And then have this, you know, kind of plating area, once I put that on there, overhang more, kind of extend that down to here, right? And then bring that down a little bit. Something almost like that. I don't know if you guys can see the pencil on the thing there, but yeah. So basically build this area up and have it overhang and have it a double layer. But then on this side, this would be your you know, extra plating, and then it would hang over there and it would look like it's gripping onto, you know, the forearm at that point. Which, yeah, I like that idea. I like that look. I like that whole, yeah, that whole thing. All right, cool. Let's go with that. All right. So, what the fuck time is it? 1:49. Okay, cool. Let's get caught up with the chat real quick, yeah? Let's see. Zero guy. We are like cats, just waiting and plotting, yeah, for my end, right? Briggsy says I might have all or almost all already have in my own collection. Oh, right? Brendan says, I hope my wife doesn't sell my stuff for what I told her I paid for it. Jesus, right? Lelouch says, accidental chisel stabbing. Who knows, right? Right? Fuckers. Lelouch says, tell me about it, Brandon. I'm lucky my wife doesn't understand P Bandai yet. She thinks all I have is cheap 144. Oh, man. Brandon says, haha, I'm more worried about the pews than the model. Pews? P-E-P-U? I don't know what that is. Anyone have a grimoire kit they want to let go for a fair price? Prefer the red beret. But I'm fine with the Reconquista. Brandon, let me check mine. Because I know I have two regulars over there. And I think they're both still unbuilt. Yeah, I'll have to check it. I'll have to check mine. Message me on Instagram or something like that, Brandon, and I'll see what they look like, and I'll let you know. So, yeah. Wolfpack, what's up? Gundam or nothing, right? Mr. Edwin, Mr. RSA is with us. Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. What's up, Edwin? 10 a.m. for me in LA. Peace, everyone. Hello. Oh, man. Julius says, I'm out for a walk and we'll have to rewatch this episode. Julius, enjoy your walk, buddy. Enjoy your walk. I think I'm going to do that here after we end in a moment. I think I'm going to go hit the trail myself. So, yeah, I'll be out there with you in spirit, dude. Brandon says, will do. Life, death. I'm back. Lelouch says, are we still having a shield or rethinking it? No, the shield is an absolute 100%. So, Lelouch, the thing is that when I plugged the forearm and everything and popped, you know, magnets in there, boom, it works, you know. But the thing is, when it goes to hold it sideways like that, it gets limpy, right? Now, I could always overcome that with, you know, kind of, you know, a frame extension out and everything to make it, you know, force that, you know, weight to hold and everything. But the big one for me, and I'll show you guys here what I meant with the, with, you know, putting it on the body here and everything. So I don't think I've shown everybody kind of what I meant by this. So I do feel like you're owed an explanation. So with the Hyaku Shiki, the connection point is on the back of the forearm, right? It's back here. On some of the other mobile suits, the RX-78, the Ground Gundam, you know, those types, it's on the side of the forearm. So when the elbow twists like this, on the Hyaku Shiki, the shield would be here, but on the RX-78 and say like the Ground Gundams and stuff like that, it's over here. It's in parallel with, you know, the axis of your elbow, right? I like that better, so much better, right? Because, and here's kind of the rub, so to speak, right? You got the shield on there, and that just looks weird having, you know, having the arm, this arm kind of like, you know, like that, you know, in that pose, but this arm is like, weird. But the big one, and the reason why I'm kind of pivoting, is that if I did turn the arm in that kind of direction to achieve that same kind of stoic looking pose and everything, like maybe spread out the arms, kind of like the, you know, the Henry Cavill arm reload kind of look and everything. The problem that we're going to run into is that the shield is going to collide with the new boosters. And we're definitely not getting rid of the boosters at that point, and I want them to be kind of, you know, in that position. So yeah, the shield is just getting in the way. So we're going to pivot the shield over to be on the side of said forearm in a more traditional way, and then that way that pivots with the, you know, the axis of the elbow, and then we don't have to worry about it getting in the way of the boosters either. So that's kind of the hard pivot that I had to take, and that's kind of, you know, for all of you, that's why we're, you know, I'm going through what I'm going through here, and you know, making these decisions on the fly. So obviously now, if, you know, this was off stream, you would never see any of this, but you're kind of seeing the process, you know, as it happens at this point, which I think is very, very valuable. So, you know, we've made this little piece here out of a, you know, an old leg armor piece from another model. And now we've kind of got the base of what we want to do here. So now we're basically going to build up and create the, you know, the overall look. Now, the thing that we got to keep in mind is that this piece here is that we scratch built and took a lot of time and effort to, you know, make, is now basically useless. So we don't have a need for this. So I'm not going to get rid of it per se, because you never know. You never quite know. I do have another Shiki in the closet, 2.0 and everything. But yeah, so that essentially now becomes expendable, redundant, you know, all of that. So yeah, that's part of it, part of the process. So I'm just gonna get the excess sticky tack out of here, or at least try to. All right, it's starting to come up here. And we're gonna do the same thing for this bit here. Now, one thing that I fear that I'm going to have to do. Shit. Yeah. I think we're definitely going to have to do that. We're going to have to completely remove this middle section here on this piece. Because if we... Yeah, so essentially we want the pivot point about here, the connection point, right? So for that to work, well, maybe we don't have to remove that. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, if we build that up, actually, that's not terrible. That actually sits right at the edge of that piece. So that's actually not bad. Okay, so yeah, all right, cool. So we don't have to remove that middle section then. Nice. All right, rock and roll. Let's at very least get this poster tack out of here. There we go. You remove poster tack with more poster tack. Just the way that it works. I don't make the rules. All right. Good stuff there. All right. So we've got a good plan of action. We've got a path moving forward. We've got this base piece done and done. Yeah. Good shit. We're on the right path, I feel. We're on the right path. So tomorrow it will all be about building up this bracket and getting detail in. One of the other things that I'm going to do is to get the magnet embedded here within the putty so that we can just pop it right on there. And then for that, we're going to use a really big old strong bar magnet. We don't have to cover it up since it's going to be the inside here. It's never going to be seen other than when it's off, and that's not going to be, you know, an issue. But we'll get that magnetized, so that'll pop right into these magnets here, and then that will hold the whole assembly. And yeah, we'll have a static, I wonder if it's a static. We won't have a static twisting or connection point, but it'll be, you know, like a peg and rod or peg and hole or whatever, and go from there. And I think that'll look really nice. So, all right, that's the path. That's the way moving forward. Let's get caught up with the chat here, shall we? All right. So I know I went off on a tangent and everything. So, Lelouch, yeah, sent me down the freaking rabbit hole there. But that's okay. That's okay. All right. So Briggsy says, I still be buying. Got a few new kits pre-ordered. Nice. Lelouch says, gotcha. I missed a couple days of work. No worries. That's why we do these things, right? Life Death says, Tim, if you had to put a price on your whole collection of kits, what do you think would be the estimate? Mine's around 9,000 and just kits. I'm just curious. Oh, fuck me. I have honestly no idea. Zero. The reason being is because I have some kits in there that I would have no idea how to price. I've got the well, let's go camera one so you can get a better idea. So right there is the old Mechanicore 1100 Zero Store. That's the Zai Kasi Gundam. That's their version of it, right? I have no idea what that thing goes for nowadays. Above, you can't see it, but above here, actually, is that it? No, that's not it. Okay. But above the fold here,
I've got the, high 2M 1/60th scale Rick Dom up there. Got a few P Bandais. Got a bunch of resin kits that have been long out of production from G System. Yeah, I have no idea. Deep Striker, Sasabi Verka. Yeah, I honestly don't have a great answer to that. I'd be straight up guessing at that point, even if I put something out there, but like I really don't know. I really don't know. It'd be interesting to try and see what everything would be worth, but that would take forever. That would take fucking forever. But Lelouch has a...
We have a question!
Yes. Tim, do you sketch your ideas out fully, or do you come up out with your custom ideas as you're building in the process? A bit of both. A bit of both. That's a great question. A bit of both, really. So when I start a project, I normally have a picture in my mind of what I want it to be, at the very end, right? So I have a preconceived notion of what that looks like. So I kind of start and I hold that idea in my head. And then sometimes I will sketch out certain things. Like I know with the older live streams, we sketched out this big, fuck all sword that I scratch built, and I don't know in which bin it's in right now. It might be in this one. No, not in that one. But yeah, we scratch built that big ass sword, and loved it, and then ended up pivoting in another direction, so I didn't use it in that build. I still have it. I still plan to use it, but for another build, right? So I drew that out. We actually sat on stream, kind of brainstorming that, and I drew it actually on paper and all that. And yeah, I kind of, then took it into Illustrator, cleaned up the lines and things, and then created it, right? From scratch. And so sometimes I'll do both, and then obviously, my ideas sometimes don't parse out like you can see, within the streams. So sometimes, we have to pivot and go in a different direction, come up with a new idea, because if something doesn't work, then we have to come up with something that does. There's no other choice in the matter. Because what am I going to do? Just not build this thing because of one little hurdle? No, of course not. So I always am going to come up with some sort of solution. Now, whether that takes me 2 minutes, 2 days, 2 weeks, it, may take some time to kind of think about options and try to, get that foresight of how things are going to, work together and everything. So, yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. So I do a bit of both. A lot of it is on the fly, like you guys have seen. And that's usually where some of the best ideas come up, is on the fly, in the moment when you're invested in it. And yeah, so good question. Good question. Let's see. Brandon says, I thought I found the tiny mistake on airdrop, but I'm not sure. I've taken it as a challenge now. Oh, shit. Well, if I can give you a hint, Brandon, it is a painting error. It's not a surface error or, building error or anything like that. It is a painting error. So, maybe that helps. Kelvin Brandon, what up, Kelvin? Been working other models the last 3 years, thinking of doing Justa based on the 75th Rangers. Ooh, dude, I like that. I like that because airdrop is based off of the 67th Air Wing out of Japan. You know, the fighting cocks, right? Yeah, I would love to see something like that. 75th Rangers, hell yeah, dude. Let's go. Let's fucking go. I like that. Julia says, I'm thinking of selling some of my backlog, mostly master grades. I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, if you're never going to build them, Sarge, or if you lost or LT, sorry. Yeah, I mean, do your thing. Do your thing. Lelouch says, I have to ask questions, LOL. The more I know, the better I grow, especially if it's advice from my favorite pro. That is, Lelouch just dropped a bar, you guys. Yeah, he just dropped a bar. I have to ask questions, LOL. The more I know, the better I grow, especially if it's advice from my favorite pro. Yeah, spitting dimes. No. I appreciate that, dude. I really do. That means a lot, but yeah. Put a beat on that thing. Giovanni says, I have 10K invested in resin kits alone. Oh my God, dude. Holy shit. Woohoo. Damn, Giovanni. Haha, that's awesome. Yeah. Ranger Chris says, some questions are better left unanswered. Come on now. Excuse me. Julia says, you could pay Amber to inventory and price out your backlog summer job for her. Oh, God, no. I don't have the money for that. Trust me. And she would never. She'd be like, nah. Let's see. Northwest Short Line was indeed bought by an employee. Holly Storm, and is the owner since 2019. Yep. Cool. That's what I thought. Lelouch says, the inner thoughts of Tim, Volume 1. Right? So, all right, you guys, have an awesome rest of your day. I'm going to go get some shit done, and I'll be back tomorrow. Stay safe out there. Build something cool. Remember, if you're not willing to learn, no one can help you, but if you're determined to learn, no one can stop you. All right? I will see you